don't know where to go with what we all saw yesterday and what we saw last night. I was thinking back, people deeply offended in 1992 by Pat Buchanan's speech. And I mean, let me tell you something. That was Churchill in the House of Commons in 1940 compared to everything we saw last night. A bizarre collection of alternative facts and alternative realities told by cranks and misfits that would never be allowed inside any convention before this. I mean, couples, you know, the couple that like carried guns outside their house and were pointing at Black Lives Matter protesters, saying that Joe Biden wants to abolish the suburbs. You go down the whole list, and of course, Donald Trump, it even had Donald Trump yesterday, even with his people begging him, stay on message, try to paint Joe Biden as a left-winger. Instead, he repeated his lie that Barack Obama spied on his campaign in 2016, something that has been disproven time and time again. And his own aides were so discouraged that he did it because he can't stay on script. But, you know, you had Don Jr. saying that the choice was between, this is very funny, actually, church, work, and school, or rioting, looting, and vandalism. Yes, Don Jr. and Donald Trump is the paragon of church, work, and school. And you just go down the list, and even Nikki Haley, whatever she wants, I hope it's worth it for her. Nikki Haley going out and saying that Donald Trump did with North Korea what Barack Obama and Joe Biden never could. What? Let them accumulate more nuclear weapons and advance their nuclear program, their missile program forward under the protection of an American president who continued to visit him when all of his experts told him not to visit Kim Jong-un. Again, it was just, people were willing to go and shame themselves last night and create an alternative reality of facts. And this doesn't work. And it doesn't work because, again, so much of the night was focused on what a great job Donald Trump did on the coronavirus. It's as if these people never read a poll and never actually talked to Americans to understand the overwhelming number of Americans think Donald Trump has, in fact, completely failed his handling of the coronavirus, because he has.
Yeah, without question. I mean, if you start last night with the guiding principle of today's Republican Party, it is to please the boss, Donald J. Trump. We know that because they scrapped having a platform at this Republican National Convention and just said, we support whatever Donald Trump says. Literally, that's what they did. There's no platform this time. So start there, please the boss. So that's what all those speeches were about. That explains Nikki Haley's speech. That explains the McCluskeys, the couple you referred to in St. Louis, sitting on the couch in their parlor, talking about the abolishing of the suburbs. That's a line ripped directly from President Trump, right? He says that Joe Biden wants to, quote, abolish the suburbs by, God forbid, allowing black people to move in. So they made that case. It was a wild performance by the two of them. But the theme, actually, if for people who watch this network and are waking up with us and watched last night, you might have thought it was wild and you couldn't believe what you were hearing. But if you watch Fox News or if you're on Facebook every day, it all sounded very familiar and it all resonated with you. From Don Jr.'s speech to the talk about preserving monuments, cities on fire, Joe Biden creating a socialist utopia. It's a wild world, but it's one that they live in each and every day. So I'm sure with a lot of members of the base, which is who they were speaking to, it rang true. But your point is the most important one, which is they're also, in order to please the boss, creating this alternate universe where the President of the United States, who's overseen 177,000 deaths and tens of millions of jobs lost because of his handling of the coronavirus crisis, is the hero of this story, that he came in and rescued America from something that China inflicted upon this country. It's a stunning, stunning narrative that has no basis in reality.
Thanks for checking out MSNBC on YouTube, and make sure you subscribe to stay up to date on the day's biggest stories. And you can click on any of the videos around us to watch more from Morning Joe and MSNBC. Thanks so much for watching.